Hello there. Thank you for joining me. Our painting today is an old rusty lantern. It has a sort of a dirty globe on it. This painting is just full of nostalgia. We're going to show you how to do the weathered wood effect at the same time we're painting the lantern. Okay, and before we get started, I wanted to mention that we're using liquid acrylics, and they're so exciting. They're such a great medium to work with. In fact, I painted this outfit that I have on with the same type paints, liquid acrylic. So you see you can go back and forth from your canvas to your clothing. Spill something on your clothes, just paint a little flower over it. We're not painting this today, so let's go to the palette and get started. First thing we're going to do is put out a puddle of white paint, a little bit of dark chocolate, little bit of ebony black, and we're going to make a rather thin mixture. Out of this, we're going to use the fan brush. We want a soft brownish gray. We want the paint a little bit thin. Now, we don't want to use a wash this time. Just want to get a little interest. Okay, if you look at the canvas up, you can probably see the white sketch that I have on it. What we're going to do is get a little bit of a grainy look to the area behind the lantern. I think you can see the lantern by using the white graphite paper, and we just want to get the kind of a wooden textured effect. Now let me tell you again, this paint is thin, but it is not a wash. It's not so thin that you can see through it. You want it opaque enough that it's really going to show up and give you the streaked, grainy look. Okay, now I'm going to a bigger brush in brighter paint. The black, ebony black, dark chocolate, and the white and maker gray. Okay, now what we're going to do is this is the background, this is the board that's coming forward here, so we want it to be a little bit lighter in value. And what I'm doing is scumbling, just using the side of the brush to kind of scumble the color and establish a board. And when I'm doing this at home in my studio, I turn my canvas upside down so that I can work this way. I know that I'm in your way here, but I'll hurry and let you see what I've done. But I can't get the canvas loose here. It's secured to the easel, so we're just going to have to work it this way. And the background was underpainted with ebony black. Okay, now we're going to go across here and establish a board. Just want some little streaks in it. And you notice that I'm using horizontal strokes, right? Why do you think I'm doing that? To lay this board flat. Okay, now let's add some antique gold. Go a little bit lighter on this one. We're bringing this is the edge. This is like a shelf. And this is the board. I don't know what you call it. I'm not a carpenter. But this is the board that's closest to you. And notice I'm still trying to get the weathered wood look. So I'm actually kind of scumbling over this. When you scumble, you pull your brush over an area that's already been painted, and you let it kind of bump and skip along so that some of your underpainting shows through. Now I'm going to antique gold in the gray mixture. I'm going to brighten it up just a little bit and scumble this edge. And if you can train yourself to hold your brush just as flat as you possibly can to do this scumbling, you're going to get a much prettier effect. If you use the brush this way with the point, you're not going to get a nice textured old weathered wood. It's going to look new, like you just bought it at the building supply. All right, now let's go a little bit lighter here. Light of paint, light touch. A little bit more here. Now we started with the gray, now we're gradually adding a little color with the antique gold. We're going to leave this area back in here very dark. Get it a little bit too bright, darken it. We're going to leave this little shadow. In fact, I think I'm going to reinforce that shadow just a little bit under the lantern. Might as well take care of that right now. This is going to be a pocket watch right here. Let's get a shadow under that. Let's put a shadow up this side of the lantern. Little shadow here and a little shadow there. Okay, let's add a little blue, sapphire blue. Now remember, I had underpainted this entire area with what? Ebony Black before we got started, remember? Little bit too blue, Norma. Put a little of the gray mixture in it. There we go. Maybe a little bit here. Okay, let's get us a separation line here from our shelf. Okay, I think this area is dry enough that we can start on the lantern now. And what we're going to do is we'll work on both sides of the lantern all the way down. We'll skip the globe to start with. Work on the metal part, and then we'll do some blending. What we're going to do is the metal part all the way down. Georgia clay, dark chocolate. And notice how I'm keeping these edges soft, ragged. I'm not using straight lines. Pull in. Sit it down flat, girl. Okay, now antique gold added to that same mixture. We'll go back to the top again, and we didn't catch the lid up there. We'll do do that in just a minute. Okay, I'm going to wet the brush just a little bit. Go back to the top and do a little blending. Now you notice this time we were working on dry surface all the way through, and I didn't wet the canvas like I had been doing in the other tapes, other programs. So what did I have to do? I had to wet my brush. And we're getting the values that we need. We're getting the dark edges where they would be in the shadow. We're getting the light in the middle. And then by blending the light and the dark, we're creating our middle value. All right, let's get the top of the lantern. We'll do it the same way. Dark on the edges, light in the middle, and we'll blend it. All right, now we still have a lot of work to do there. You hope so, don't you? But let's lay the handles in. We're going to use the dark mixture for that, the dark chocolate. Dark chocolate sounds good enough to eat, doesn't it? Well, it wouldn't hurt you if you did. The paint's a non-toxic. But I sure wouldn't advise you to eat it. But the names are so pretty that you really, just like dark chocolate, doesn't just make your mouth water. Does mine. And working with liquid acrylics is such an exciting thing. Like it and I love it. All right, let's get a little highlight now. And we'll go back and do a little blending on the highlight. While this is drying a little bit, we have shadows that we have to put in it. We can go and we can work on the globe just a little bit. Let's use a soft gray for that with a touch of blue. We're making the gray from dark chocolate, ebony black, and sapphire blue. Now you know the glass is transparent and you can see through it, so you don't want this paint so thick that you would end up with a wad of cotton. You have to have the transparent look. So you want your paint a little bit thin, but that's not the only thing you want to remember. You want to kind of scumble your paint on the globe rather than brushing it on. You notice that I didn't have a lot of paint on the brush, and I just kind of pulled it very gently. Now we're just going to have some highlights. Make it talk to us. Okay, let's go back and start now to highlight the lantern a little bit. Antique gold with a little bit of white. We're going to move on up. Every section will have a highlight. I'm going to add some control medium to these edges to kind of extend the paint a little bit. Stretch it. Now just added the medium to the brush. Then pull it through the paint. And lo and behold, I get the very effect I'm after. Okay, let's start to add some shadows and make it look like a lantern. Ebony Black and Dark Chocolate. We'll go to the top and do the same thing. Little high, let's put, how about some highlights now? To make it, these little edges protrude a little bit. Look at that, isn't that pretty? Papa's lantern's talking to us. We soften the shadows just a little while I'm in this area. And this is the place that they fill, little place that they fill the lantern. And if it's protruding, it would have a shadow, wouldn't it? Everything has a shadow. All right, let's get the wire of the bell. Whatever you call it. I think we're in business. Little highlight. Little highlight. Okay, now this is what I've been dying to do right over in here. Let's go to this area. That was the gray. This is antique gold with a little of the gray mixture added to it. Using the 1/4" crooker. Crooked as it can be. Okay, a little bit of the gray mixture in here to soften your edges a little bit. A little bit of the light mixture to give it the metal look. Now we need cad yellow medium. and a smaller brush. Get a little highlight here and there. You think I didn't see that, don't you? Well, I did. And we will fix it. But we want a chain. This is an old watch. And we want a chain on it. You see, I'm standing sort of at an angle, so I think it's pretty straight, but I really can't tell too well. But what you do when you paint it, you be sure that it's straight. Let's put some, okay, it's 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Let's put the numerals on the watch in the hands. How about let's lay a few matches on the table, like somebody's really going to use this lantern. Or they have used it. Let's put some Calico Red for the heads on the matches. And what on the tip? White. How many times did you get in trouble when you were a kid, thinking these were the prettiest things you'd ever seen in your life? I wasn't playing with that. Okay, let's highlight the watch bob, whatever. Highlight the chain here and there. And for that we're using, oh, I'll have to wash that brush, it's so dirty. White and the antique gold. Now sometimes when I have a lot of time, I put these chains in, this chain in little loops like this. Or you can just sort of suggest it like I've done here. But you always want to get a highlight on this side of your watch with the bright yellow. And then this is pretty too if you get a highlight here. And a highlight here. Well, your objects would be catching light. That's where you want your brightest highlights to be. Oh, a little bit here. A little reflected light where it's going to the curve is going around into the shadow. Now let's soften that down just a little bit. Okay, let's go back up in here and put a little highlight here. Maybe catch a little light right up in here. Well, I think we're in real good shape now. Tell you what we'll do over in here. We'll add some dark, kind of pat in some real dark spots over in here. And touch up this area that's crooked See, I just picked some of the dark spots and sort of emphasize them just a little with the darker mixture. Put a nail or two here and there. And a shadow underneath it. And I believe that's about all the time we have for today. I've enjoyed every minute with you. Thank you.